While countless people enjoy hip-hop music and the fruits of its labor, many people fail to acknowledge the founding father of this genre who popularized break beats. Hip-hop, a genre that became America's most streamed genre, all began in the Morris Heights neighborhood of the Bronx, specifically 1520 Cedric Avenue, popularized by DJ Kool Herc, credited as the founding father of hip-hop. DJ Kool Herc played a pivotal role in the development and the emergence of hip-hop. As a Jamaican immigrant from the trench-town neighborhood in Kingston, Jamaica, music became a staple in his household. When he later moved to the Bronx in the late 1960s, he brought the elements of his Caribbean culture to his DJ sets, introducing innovative techniques that will later shape the future of hip-hop music. The two key contributions were breakbeats, a musical technique of isolating and looping the rhythmic and percussive sections of the funk, soul, and disco records, allowing dancers to showcase their breakdancing skills, as well as his musical advancement that led to the creation of breakdancing. Second, there was the merry-go-round technique, which required dual turntables, as Herc would utilize two turntables to play two copies of the same record simultaneously and focus on extending the instrumental break sections of the song. Kool Herc took New York City by storm when he hosted his first party, the Back to School Jam, on August 11, 1973, in the 1520 Cedric Avenue Rec Room, coined as the birthplace of hip-hop. The event was originally just a kickback where people would pay up most $1 and come and listen to music and enjoy some drinks, which is exactly what happened. People began to socialize and mingle, and the energy of Kool Herc's DJing and the lively dancing of the B-boys and the B-girls created an electrifying atmosphere. Yeah, people were dancing, but they weren't calling it B-boying. That was just a break, and people would go off. My terms came in after I started to play. I called them B-boys. Guys used to break dance, and right then, slang was in, and we shortened words down. Instead of disrespect, you diss me, and that's where that came from. These hip-hop parties became a recurring event, and the capacity of the event goers kept increasing every week, to where hundreds of people across all 5 boroughs were attending this party, an event that brought all the ladies, and sure enough, the men followed. When asked about what type of music he loved playing, Herc said, "I would give people what I knew they wanted to hear. I'd give it to them. I was getting more music that sounded similar to what they liked and introducing them to new music. At the same time, giving up slow music. A lot of guys like to get their ish on, and I'm a guy that plays slow music. I don't give F how are the parties rocking, I'll slow it down. I have my ish in stages, I play music in stages, no format." Kool Herc was someone who was always creative and was into graffiti, and his younger sister, who was working at a youth corp job, wanted to get fly for the next upcoming school year. She wanted to get some money for clothes, and she invested her money into her brother Herc to host a party, showcasing his turntable skills, and that's exactly what he did, and it was a hit. The biggest record back then were James Brown, Give It Up or Turn It Loose, and a couple other records such as The Mexican, Bongo Rock, and Just Begun, songs that everybody knew and loved at the time. After the citywide success of the Recreation Room party, the demand for Herc's party increased drastically, and then he moved to block parties, which quickly got too crowded and needed to find a new place, the Twilight Zone. This was Kool Herc's first place of mass production, and the hip-hop parties became so interesting that people started ditching other parties to come to his. Up the block was an established club, a place called Soulsville, but they changed the name to the Havalo. When I first gave the party at Twilight, everybody left from up there to come to my party. They used to chase me away from giving flyers out in front of their club. I told them, one day I'm gonna rock this club, another effort, watch. And sure enough, the Havalo gave me my first break of playing week after week. Herc was often grouped with Africa Bambaataa, Grandmaster Flash, and Coke LaRock as the pioneers of hip-hop, seeing that Africa Bambaataa and his Zulu Nation were one of the first hip-hop organizations, and Grandmaster Flash and his Furious 5 group were one of the first hip-hop groups in 1978, and Coke LaRock was one of the first MCs ever in hip-hop history. Kool Herc became well acquainted with Coke LaRock in high school before he was known for throwing some of the biggest parties. He was a very big guy, had his name Herc, short for Hercules, as he was very known in the neighborhood. One day Coke LaRock got into a fight at school, and Herc and a bunch of his people pulled up to protect him and rode out for him, displaying his loyalty. And ever since then, it's been mutual respect. Coke LaRock, who's often credited as one of the first hip-hop MCs ever, as Herc was known for his merry-go-round technique and the breakbeat technique, Coke was actually the first person rapping over these beats at the rec room, entertaining these crowds. Herc had all the equipment, which according to Coke, made him more superior as a DJ. He was one of the first guys ever seen buy equipment. Like, most of us, he played off your mother's record, which you don't. The 8-track and all that. Herc had columns, he had 2 turntables, and that was exciting, plus it was loud, so that's when I seen that side of him. Fast forward to 1977, Kool Herc would be involved in a near fatal stabbing outside of a New York nightclub, to which Coke LaRock almost crashed out in honor of his friend. I happened to be at the door with Herc, like I always kept the guns. I kept 2 guns, so I had to use the bathroom. It was a coincidence. I never go to the bathroom in the club. I live 3 blocks from the club, so I went home to use the bathroom, and as I'm coming back, all I see is police lights and all this. So I'm thinking, all right, somebody done ran the party or somebody shot somebody. But as I got close, my friend Casino was like, Herc just got stabbed. And I was like, what? So everything just went blank on me. I was like, who, what? He was like, Cope, go to the hospital, man, because he got stabbed. So I'm like, well, what about the guy? So he said that the guy got stabbed about 20 times, so they think that he's dead. So I was like, take me there because I want to put 2 in his head to make sure. They was like, no, go check out Herc first, man. So I went to the hospital, which was right up the hill. And when I got to the hospital, Herc's on the gurney, his mother and father there, and I just lost it, man. I couldn't stop crying, and I'm like, I'm just bugging. So then Herc's father came to me because he knew I was a different guy. And Herc's father said, Cope, let me hold your gun till tomorrow because you're going to do something bad. And I said to Mr. Campbell, please, don't take my gun. And he was like, no, I need to because I'll give it back tomorrow. So I'm still bugging, I'm walking, I'm crying. Then he said, hold on 1 minute. So he went to talk with Herc. Then Herc called me into the room and Herc was like, Cope, wait for me, I'll be alright. Then we'll look for these guys all together. And I said, alright. I left the room, I gave Herc's father my gun, I went home. 8 in the morning, I knocked at Mr. Campbell's door, he gave me my gun back. I went and got Mike. He was the only person that could say what the people looked like. Herc said he seen the guy before in a pool room that I used hanging on Oakton Avenue. So me and Mike went there, and when we went in the pool room, it was like 400 people in there. But as soon as we came in, people started leaving out. So really, the guy passed by us, because I kept saying, Mike, if you see him, tell me, I'm gonna just blast him right now. And Mike didn't really have a good idea of the person, so the guy really walked by us. Coke LaRock was beyond loyal to Cool Herc, and some would say his loyalty is a modern day comparison of Tony Yale to 50 Cent. The common issue for many of our hip-hop pioneers is the lack of financial compensation, as they are essentially broke. Hip-hop artists back then weren't hip-hop for the right reason: creative expression, therapy, entertainment, and people just create musical content. Nowadays, the modern artist is only in it for the money, the rolling on the wrist, the Patek Philippe, the Rolls-Royce Cullinan car, and they don't really have any real value to see from hip-hop music. People so casually talk about the 90s, almost forgetting that it was over 30 years ago. However, the music was so pure and so timeless that it still feels fresh, even when we heard it today. As back then it was more competitive. For you to be a major artist in the 90s who has a fan base, your music really had to be above average compared to today where all you need is a chain and a name of some street credibility and you're basically put on. Replay value was what they craved in the 90s and what we still crave right now, and why hip-hop has never had a #1 song in 2023, the first time happening in over 30 years. The lack of financial support for our hip-hop pioneers led to producer Swiss Beats in 2020 pledging to pay homage to hip-hop pioneers by giving them $1 million each. A genre that birthed the career of thousands and was pioneered by Kool Herc and his parties led to some of our biggest events in hip-hop, such as Rollin' Loud, Virtual Lemonade, Lollapalooza, and New York City Governor's Ball. A leap of faith filled with creativity by DJ Herc has made tens of millions of hip-hop fans worldwide forever in debt to Kool Herc. The fact that we don't pay taxes as artists to those icons that paved the way, took the lower cut for the music that allows us to feed our family and live in a razor house, F the government. We need to be paying taxes to the creators of hip-hop that gave us our freedom of speech to move forward. I'm going so hard with that. Mel Mel, Grandmaster Flash, Sugar Hill Gang, minimum $1 million apiece. Hip-hop has provided so many opportunities in the modern world and almost became a safe haven for their listeners. So many positive and lucrative options if you're willing to bet on yourself. If you enjoyed this video, subscribe for more. J.R. the Star, I'm God.